Hey all, and welcome into a brand new video. Today we'll be doing something a little bit different. I haven't talked much about anime on this channel. I've made a few references, a few jokes passing here and there, a few memes, but I've never really talked in depth about it. And I wanted to give a try at giving some of my thoughts critically, critiquing a piece of art which I enjoy, which I definitely do enjoy. Frieren. As of 12 days ago, they released what can only be guessed as the last trailer for season 2 to be released very soon. And I wanted to give my thoughts on season 1 and give some predictions and what do I want to see from season 2. So let's get right into it. So format for this video is very simple. Thoughts on season 1, what I want to see from season 2, and then we're going to react to the July trailer, which I haven't seen, and the November trailer, which just released 12 days ago. Now, I am a big fan of Frieren. Exhibit A, the figures in the back. Exhibit B, we're wearing the shirt. And Exhibit C, this is my cosplay from Comic-Con. I think this was last year. I went as Stark, I got the axe, I got the whole fit. I look like a deer in the headlights in this picture. I'm not sure why, but it's the best one I could find. Okay, leave me alone. So we're going to talk about, first off, the world. It's beautiful. And that is not only credit to the animation, because the animation in this show is very beautiful. It's a credit to the direction and the incorporation of fantasy themes and elements throughout. This show can hit every color palette. It can really bring out the beauty in the mundane stuff. Whereas another show might, show off a sunset or something, this show will really bring out more color, more vibrancy than any other than I've seen recently. And they've been hitting every color palette. So you got the deep blues, you got the greens of the hills, and the reds of the fires, and iconic scenes like this. Where you have the meteor shower reflected on the surface of the lake for the hero's party to enjoy. And of course, the sunsets, which I mentioned before. I'm trying not to go too in depth because I don't want this video to be too long, but just sort of my thoughts on some of these things. The characters are very unique in a good way. This show really takes conventional storytelling and flips it on its head a bit. Normally you'd see from shows like this, the main character is boisterous and they're basically modeled after Goku. They have a voracious appetite for getting stronger and just a voracious appetite. And they need a side character that is a direct foil to them, where they'll be a bit more measured and planned out and a bit more pragmatic. But this show does the opposite, really. Frieren and Fern are both very close to each other, and that's basically as a product of Frieren raising Fern for a large portion of her life. Frieren is juxtaposed between this sort of childlike, flippant attitude and being one of the most terrifying mages in existence in the world. Which it's such an interesting thing to see because the threat of the show, the way the show is structured, means that it doesn't really matter that Frieren can possibly deal with any singular problem that they have to face on her own. It's not about that. It's about experiencing the world in a slice of life format and teaching Fern along the way. And Fern is also, this sort of cold, quiet. I don't know. I wouldn't say too reserved, but you know that sort of feeling. Same as Frieren, but she can also just switch it on and be utterly terrifying as well, because the whole theme with Fern is the concept of wasted talent. The theme that plays her theme, Fern's theme, is I think it's called literally a waste. Um, because in this world, people are always telling Fern, oh, if well, not always telling, but Sense says at one time. Fern says, oh, she says to Fern, you could, no one at your age has ever been this talented. Why don't you try to do more? And Fern's like, I just enjoy my life. And that is basically Fern's character. She wants to be with Frieren because that makes her happy. And even though she's learning magic and she's at a very high level because she is training under Frieren, Fern is happy with that. And it's a really, how do I say it? I don't even know. I don't know. Let's just move on. Fern's a cool character. Next, we have Stark. And Stark, he hits a trope which I really don't like. The cowardly joke character. Most despised in its form by me, as this depiction of Zenitsu in Demon Slayer. I dislike the show in general. That's a me thing. Don't worry about it. Zenitsu is the worst character in that show. Don't worry. Also, Usopp in One Piece, although Usopp does it a lot better, and I'd say Stark does it the best, because he is obviously fighting horrors beyond comprehension with an axe, and his story is a story of survivor's guilt and self-loathing and learning to be confident in your own skills, which he does get better at. When he needs to do what he needs to do, he does it well. And, you know, he faces off the dragon basically solo. Basically, absolutely solo. And I'd like to see where his character goes in the future, because there are a few ways it can go, and I'm excited for him. And of course, we're all waiting for this to happen. Enough said. We have Sign up next. Sign really gave a lot of balance to the party, and his departure from the party really does actually leave a hole, which is really sad. But I'm very happy that in writing this character, they decided that it's okay for stuff like that to happen. This guy showed up. He's like, I kind of don't want to go on an adventure. I kind of do. I'm going to go on an adventure with you, but only to find my friend. I have a lead to find my friend. It's in the opposite direction. I'm going to go chase it. And I'm fine with them doing that. I would like to see him come back, though, because he actually bounces off all of the characters really well. Especially one of my favorite bits is when they get swooped up by the big bird, and the whole you call that a plan, you call that a success bit was very amusing to me. And the basic, like, Himmel is the haunting the narrative is a OSP video, overly sarcastic productions video, that I saw recently, and I was just thinking, Himmel. He haunts the narrative so perfectly. Basically, anything that is quirky in Frieren's behavior is usually traced back to Himmel and his very, like, convincing and charismatic like performance, and the quirks that he had being passed to her. Himmel is like the textbook paragon. He does everything right. He cares for the little guy. and he knows the big picture. And it's a shame about him and Frieren not really panning out, but we'll see what happens if they make it to heaven. Probably when they make it to heaven. And Ciri. Look, the thing about Ciri is I'm going to get into it a bit more later when we talk about season 2 things, but Ciri is one of the most interesting characters to me in this show. She's a walking contradiction. Literally, whatever she says, she will do the opposite out of a sense of a weird sense of pride. I had a whole online discussion with some people on Ciri, and she's a fascinating character. She says she shouldn't take on human students. She does so anyway. She says that presiding over humanity's magic would be stupid. She does it anyway. She says that the flower spell is stupid. She has a garden full of those flowers. She laments that her students wouldn't be able to fight Frieren and gain a spot in history, even though she makes sure that she remembers all of her students and their favorite spells and their temperaments and everything. She's a walking contradiction. And it works somehow without her being seen as a massive hypocrite, even though she sort of is. And she's very powerful. She power scales the entire world for us, which we'll talk about a bit later. The magic system is so cool because it's very simple, but it has depth to it. The two big rules of magic in this world is basically, magic is it's sort of treated as a science, as we can sort of see here with the studying, and it's what's the other one? Visual imagination. You can't produce spells which you can't visualize perfectly. So a couple of restrictions into an otherwise very soft magic system make it very easy to follow, but not that it can't solve a lot of problems. And a lot of the magic that they learn and they have is used for very benign things like making tea and whatnot and turning grapes sour. Yep. That's the one I was talking about. And they've done a good job setting up the rules such that they can be applied creatively to battles later. It's such a simple concept when you think about it. How do you break through defenses? Oh, you either hit it with one big attack, one big piercing spell, you get around the defenses, or you attack 7 million times and break through with sheer numbers. That just makes sense. But to apply it to a magic system that can make it work convincingly in a fight is very very cool. And it gets set up very early. Ignore Haita. But this is episode 2, the training arc with Fern and Frieren, and just from this episode 2, we get the beginnings of Frieren teaching Fern to limit the output of her mana, limit it to this circle, and that was a half a second throwaway clip, basically that not many people are going to notice, but it's there and it shows that they were thinking about it. So I think that's pretty cool. Which leads on to the world building. I'm not really going to talk too much about the world. There's a whole map, which is basically North America, but don't look at it too closely. What I want to talk about with world building is the whole ideas of I don't know. It's something that I've been trying to put words to for the longest time. What I'm trying to say is it's like a sense of position in the world. What I mean by that is the characters interact with the world doing benign things. Maybe benign isn't like basic things like, oh, it's really hot and at this point in time in the seasonal change, so Frieren's going to be wearing more thin clothes and a dress, you know. Oh, Frieren's like scooting down a tiled roof, so it's going to be bumpy and it's going to make a different noise. Things that make you think about how the world interacts with the characters and vice versa, instead of just like glossing over it, which a lot of other shows will be very comfortable doing. Like these two guys in the top left, you know, they wanted to see the sunset and avoid the crowd, so they climbed on their roof. So you think, oh, how did they get up there? They must have had a ladder. You know, it's very small details that can just be overlooked. Um, oh, how are they going to survive the winter? Oh, Kraft had some supplies, but they were buried in the snow, and he needed the mages to help him get it out and use it. Oh, how are magical trinkets fixed? Oh, Richter has a shop, and he's actively doing things in the world to make that happen. It doesn't just happen, you know. And the spells also make that job easier. The spells are used like they probably would be if magic existed, as a primarily a way to help people live their lives comfortably. Um, so what are we expecting from season 2? Sign. Make him come back. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see if he found any leads or if he even found Gorilla. That would be fun to see. Even at the end of the credits of season 1, you see he's just vibing on the beach with a beautiful madame behind him. I want to talk about like all of the characters in the first class mage exam, but a few really stuck out to me. It seems like the exam was basically an excuse to introduce a bunch of new mages, a bunch of new characters that can, you know, pop up and it's like, oh, that guy, I wonder how they're doing. But Method seems to stick out to me the most because we very consciously didn't get to see her do much. She was instrumental in the planning. She killed like a couple of gargoyles and helped take out some of the clones, but we saw that she is very skilled and has a like breadth of knowledge on magic, but we didn't get to see her do much. And it seems like they're sort of setting that up. Method seems like somebody that Sign would enjoy to interact with. You guys know what I mean. And like she seemed like she had a lot up her sleeve that we haven't seen. Unlike all of the rest of the characters that seemed to sort of get out everything they needed to get out. Denken went all out in his fight with Frieren. He's strong. He's just not on the level. Richter, he seems stuck in the city doing his shop stuff. Maybe we'll see him again. Kane and Loin, we'll probably see them again. They were, you know, very major characters in the exam arc. Ubel sort of had her moment in the sun. She's a very popular character. She's probably coming back. Come on, let's be honest. Verbal also, you know, he sort of said his piece and said goodbye to Frieren. And Land is just chilling in his village, you know. But Method we didn't see much of her, and she seemed interesting in that capacity. I want to see this payoff, this specific scene, because they seem to be hinting real hard at Stark being able to pull this sword out of a stone, because he acts like Himmel would, and he stared so longingly at the sword when he noticed that it wasn't taken out. In the moment, I was like, please, just try it, just try it. He's always helping people out. He's always, you know, the most popular guy in the village as soon as he spent a bit of time there. So I hope we come back to this. It would also be cool to see Stark fighting with a sword. Think that would be cool as well. And we return to Ciri. The thing about Ciri is that she power scales the world, like I said. She is the strongest living mage. Compared to the goddess, she knows almost every spell. And she has mana that is like not just comparable, but further than she has more than Frieren. Because when she is suppressing her mana, it is equal to Frieren's like unleashed mana, if that makes sense. So what that does is it sets the ceiling for the height of magic, which isn't Frieren, and it gives us an opportunity to see, like, the whole idea of the event in Avengers Civil Wars, like our presence invites challenge. The amount of supervillains show up proportionally to the amount of superheroes. Because there is this height, this cap that Ciri is setting, it invites other people to become more powerful to rise to the challenge. Which I think is an interesting. It's more of a literary interpretation of it. We've seen that people can get this strong, so other people will get this strong. Which leads me on to the demons. Now, if you don't know Chekhov's gun, it's basically it's the basis for all literary analysis. If a gun is shown in the first act, it will be fired by the third act, right? So the demons are sort of acting like that, but I'm not sure, because this show breaks a lot of the conventions of story writing. I'm not sure if this gun has been fired already when Frieren and the Heroes Party killed the Demon King, but it seems like the demons are still around and they're still giving people a lot of trouble. So what does that mean for the what does that mean for the rest of the party? Is there going to be a new Demon King to step up and take place? We have the rest of the Seven Sages of Destruction, of course, but we don't have an overarching villain. We don't have an overarching threat, which some would argue isn't in the style of this show, and I would sort of agree. But people that would, cling on to the very episodic but progressive formula that they sort of went for, I don't know, I feel like they're missing out. A lot of people didn't like the exam arc because it was very conventional compared to the rest of the show, conventional like anime writing, which I disagree with. I think that because we have all of that slice of life stuff, it makes the exam arc that much more like thrilling. We didn't get to see much fighting or expansion of the magic system until that arc. And the whole concept with demons seems to be so interesting, too much to throw away. This whole idea of mana is status, as wealth is to humans. It just seems like there is more to demons that has yet to be explored. I always like to see in shows when they take characters to, like, their points of view, their philosophies, and really push them to a limit. To the limits of like their internal consistencies. What will a character do when they're pushed? And the demons seem like the easiest way to push Frieren into doing something she normally wouldn't. So that's my opinion on the demons. We need to see more separation. As much as threat and danger isn't the purpose of this show, these we need to see. Well, we need to see more Stark, really, but we also need to see more of how Fern and Stark survive on their own without Frieren shielding them. Which leads me on to the next point: passing the torch. A very big part of the fight between Frieren and Fern against the clone Frieren is that one day Frieren will die, and they're really setting this up. Because it seems like Fern will have to be the one to surpass Frieren for some reason. And now that might lead back to the demons. Maybe Frieren dies and Fern, continues the journey to Oriole and then sees Frieren and Himmel like chilling together, something like that. But Fern and Stark need to be more independent for that to happen. Now, I'm sure they could survive on their own, but we'd like to see that demonstrated with them being separated from Frieren for some period of time. That's sort of what I'm mostly looking for with Season 2. Separating the party, returning characters, some more demons, and some payoffs to some of the setup done in Season 1. So, react time. I'll hold you no longer. But I would ask that if you made it this far, to let me know if you're interested in hearing me like break down and talk about these characters in a bit more depth, and maybe some more talking about some other shows as well. I don't watch too much anime, but when I do, I will go deep into it and analyze all the characters. So let me know if you want to see any more of this. But without further ado. Alrighty, this is the July trailer. It's only 1:06 long, and the other one is like 1:20, so I don't know if we're going to get much information from these, which is why I wanted to do the analysis first, just so we have a bit of a base for this video, even if there isn't much information here. But let's go for it.
ずっと何も知ろうとしなかった。私は一人で生きていけるようになることだけを考えていました。
俺はきっと逃げ続けていた。
けど今は違う。早々のフリーレン第2期2026年1月放送開始。旅はこれからだよ。
Alright, so it seems like that was just a hey, we're here, we're still working on this. This was released in July, so we're like, oh, in what, like 6 months or so. Anything else? No, there isn't. Okay, so here it's 2 minutes long. The next trailer that was released 12 days ago. Hopefully we can get some information here. Alright, that was Fern's bracelet.
変な依頼を受けたり、厄介ごとに巻き込まれたり。変な依頼を受けたり、厄介ごとに巻き込まれたり。
想像もできないほどに長い旅路になるのでしょうな。
寄り道ばかりですけれどね。 そうかもね。
乾杯。意外と早い再会だったな。
You know, we get verbal straight away.
よし。いい景色ですね。
確かにいい景色だ。
こうして大事なものが増えていくのが嬉しいのかもしれません。
Oh, we're gonna have to analyze this a bit.
これは人類にはどうしようもないものだよ。こんなことは生まれて初めてです。
じゃあどうしろって言うんだ。今だって逃げたくてたまらねえ。逃げたくなったらみんなで逃げよう。僕たちはパーティーなんだから。
パーティーっていうのはそうじゃないと機能しないんだ。それじゃ行こうか。
That was very good. Okay. What do we got? Don't think that's... Yeah, that's not Frieren. Okay. Let's go back. So feel like we're getting a bit more of a look at Fern. Because here's the thing. The show is called Frieren. But don't get it twisted. Fern is basically the main character. We are experiencing this world from her perspective. When she is learning, Frieren already knows everything, most things. But whenever Fern learns something, we learn it. Whenever we learn something, it's because it is being taught to Fern, usually. And it is her that the torch will be passed to after Frieren's story is done. So the whole point of this show is the preparation of Fern to live on her own. That's the vibe I get. Let's see. I want to see who this is. Okay, we don't get much, but Stark's over here. The other two are fine. We see Verbal. Let's see anybody else. I don't know whose sleeve this is. This is Werbal's sleeve. This is the fur one. Probably like the flower guy and Air. I forget the flower guy's name. Got this interesting fight here with a swordswoman of some kind. Maybe somebody to train with Stark, or maybe a villain. Doesn't seem like a demon or anything like that. Maybe somebody defending the village or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Let's analyze this fight. So this is Himmel. This is the party of Himmel. So this is the flashback as well. This one was interesting. Who's this? Is this before Frieren joined the Heroes Party? Like somebody came and said hello to her and is like, why won't you join me? I'm a master swordsman. It's like, no, I don't feel like it. Somebody else is going to be coming soon. It's going to be Himmel, and I'm going to go with them. And this scene, this seems... I mean, this is all of the stuff that Fern has gathered. So this is Frieren's hair clip that she gave to her on her birthday. This is Stark's lotus bracelet and the carved symbol of a goddess from Craft. So it seems like we're going to be getting a lot of zoom in into Fern, which is basically what I was hoping for. And maybe a bit of training for somebody for Stark. And, you know, Verbal, when he said, hey, it's been a long time, he's telling that to Stark, which hopefully that means we're getting a bit more zoom in on Stark. So the things I was looking for looks like might be in here, but we'll have to see. January 16th. Until then, thank you all for watching. Let me know if you want to see any more of, you know, anime analysis character analysis, literary things, anything like that. I'm no expert, but I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Until then, goodbye.